Hello, I am Lauren Morris, reporting for Temple Update, and today I have the esteemed pleasure of having President John Fry sit with me and have a good old conversation. How are you doing, President Fry?
I'm doing great.
Good.
Happy to be here at Temple.
Yes, well, we're excited to have you. So you started off November 1st, right? 75 days in. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling incredibly energized. It's just been a sort of a whirlwind of meeting new people, great people. We share so much in common about, why we're at Temple and what we hope for the future for Temple, and it's been really joyous, to tell you the truth. And I feel like in such a short period of time, I've been welcomed with open arms into the family, and we feel really at home here.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so, with all of the things that are happening, let's just jump right in. I'm going to start with safety. I know that that's one of the pillars of your administration this year, and with the significant decrease here with aggravated assaults down 19%, robberies down 20%, and the implementations of the 21 CP solution safety recommendations, many students are still feeling concerned about the safety on campus, and sometimes the students and families who are incoming also might have the same negative connotation about the school. What are your plans to hopefully relieve some of that negative connotation, and what implementations do you hope to add?
Sure. So I think the 21 CP initiative was really important because it was led by former Police Commissioner Charles Ramsey, who was probably the most, if not one of the most respected police commissioners in the country. He really knows what he's doing. When I was at Drexel, I also commissioned a study by Commissioner Ramsey after George Floyd was murdered. I wanted to know how we were doing, especially regarding community policing. He gave us a very comprehensive report, and we changed a lot of our practices. So when I heard that Ramsey had done something similar here, it gave me a lot of comfort. Before I started, I met with Commissioner Ramsey to have him debrief me on the report, and we discussed a couple of things. Relative to the core of campus, he felt that we had implemented many of the recommendations, that the core was very safe, but when you went further north and west in particular, that's when it became more challenging. So that sort of led me to start thinking about strong policing, continuing investment in public safety, 100%. I mean, we're going to do even more than we're doing right now to maintain the numbers you talked about and, of course, to improve them. But beyond that, I think what we have to start thinking about is how do we make these streets around our campus, more dense with activity, more developed, more amenities, more things to do. Because in my experience, especially in West Philadelphia, it wasn't until we started really investing in the public environment and really developing the major, commercial corridors in West Philadelphia, that's when we started to see the crime really drop. And so one small thing is, recruiting Iron Hill, to Broad Street. They'll be right next to the Leah Corrs Center. It's a 10,000 square foot restaurant that is going to, come to Broad Street. That's the kind of thing that I think is going to help, because they'll be open early, they'll be open late, there'll be a lot of people coming in and out of the restaurant, and I think that's going to activate that part of North Broad better than it's activated right now. So I would foresee more of that kind of development, particularly on Broad, but CB more as well, and some of the other major sort of side streets. And I think that'll take time. I would love to see more residential development on campus. I'd like to see more retail development on the corridors. Honestly, I'd like to see more businesses coming into this part of North Philadelphia as well. And I think when we have that kind of constant activity, especially late at night, I think that's when this campus starts being perceived as safe. I think right now people know that we've improved safety, but people have to be really confident in the public environment, and I think we have work to do on that.
Nice, yeah. And all of the new improvements have already started going into place. I think with Temple Police and Public Safety, they've already started putting in new technology. Do you know anything about that, or is there anything you can share about maybe some implementations that you would see going into?
Well, I think what I appreciate about Jennifer's work and her team is that they are not only looking at traditional policing methods, which are tried and true, but they're also looking at how to leverage technology. Mm-hmm. And they seem to be innovating at a pretty rapid pace. And of course, that leverages the time of our police officers so they can do the kind of work that they know how to do without having to necessarily worry about some of the more routine work. So I'm really pleased with the fact that they're pressing really hard on technology. We'll continue to invest in that technology. The thing that I think can be a challenge in this environment right now is that, we have great police officers, and they're often recruited. So how do we keep our best officers here and happy and feeling sort of developed and supported in the right kind of ways? I think that's a challenge for all police forces, but I think especially for us.
Right. So stepping into this new role, there's been a lot of things that have happened in the previous administration, including some student and faculty protests. I wanted to ask your stance on student faculty protests, including last year's Gaza-related interests.
So I wasn't here to sort of comment about the specifics, but protests are part of university campuses. These are free and open spaces. People should be able to say the things that they want to say without disrupting the ability of other people to say what they want to say as well. And so as long as we can keep a sort of environment that has sort of mutual respect and the opportunity for everyone to have their say, I'm fine with that. And I know that there'll be times when I may initiate something that people will disagree with. By all means, disagree and let me know how you're feeling about that. But also let me have my space to sort of explain why I'm doing what I'm doing.
You want to make sure the students are heard.
Absolutely. I mean, through these kind of interactions that we're doing right now, Temple News, we've met twice already, regular meetings with the student government, hopefully some community meetings where I can hear from people, from students in particular, about what they're thinking, what they like, what is challenging for them. The more input, the better. The more we then can zero in on the challenges that we face.
Mm-hmm. Now, Temple has a strong commitment to affordable education. That's one of the core values is affordability. What is your plan to ensure that tuition remains accessible?
Well, I think there's probably two things we can do on the revenue side. Number one is to continue to make a strong case to the state why, as much as we're grateful for what they do for us right now, and they invest about $150 million a year in the university, there were times when we were pretty significantly higher than that. Getting the appropriation restored to previous levels, 170, maybe even more, I think would be a significant thing, because that right away goes into sort of allowing us to keep tuition increases very, very modest. That's number one. Number two, from a fundraising standpoint, I think there's a tremendous amount we can do, particularly around raising endowments for student scholarships. And I think that those are favorite things for people to support. It helps underwrite your education, and I think it also makes donors feel more connected to the university, because in many cases, one of the reasons they were able to attend Temple was because someone had a scholarship for them. Mm-hmm. And so it's a very big virtuous circle. I think there's a lot more we can do in that regard, as well as other types of things from a fundraising standpoint, where facilities can be improved, programs can be added, and things of that nature. But those two things together, I think, provide a lot of opportunity for us.
Yeah. What legacy do you wish to leave or have with the university this year and for years to come?
Maybe a little early for me to sort of understand what a complete legacy would be, but I would say for now that during this period of time, we are absolutely focused on a more competitive future, that we are very methodical in the way we do things. We don't make dumb mistakes. We execute on the things that we say we're going to execute on. We include people along the way in those conversations, and that each and every year there's steady progress. I don't believe in swinging for the fences. I believe in a world of singles and doubles and just incremental progress each and every year towards a larger goal. I mean, I believe that Temple University should be one of the premier urban public research universities in the country. Top 10, for sure. I'm not sure where we are right now. In fact, I'll be doing some benchmarking to figure that out. I think we can get there. I think we have the mission, we have the purpose, we have the location and neighborhood, we have the talent. But I think we have to set our minds on how do we be one of those 10 premier sort of urban serving public research universities, and that would be a wonderful thing to achieve. And so that's what I would want my legacy to be.
And what is your message to students at this moment? Do you speak to a student on campus, or have any interaction with students? What is your message to them?
Tell me what's on your mind. And if you see problems and you have concerns, tell me what those are, and then tell me what you think the solution should be. Because I really do think that constructive dialogue, I mean, it's really important when people are unhappy or concerned that they feel heard, that they can raise these issues. But along with that, give us the benefit of your expertise. You bring me a problem, bring me a solution, and let's see what we can do together. Getting around, meeting so many faculty, students, alumni, staff, neighbors, elected officials. And the thing that has struck me the most is how absolutely clear and how clearly people can articulate what is important about this university and its mission. In many other cases, you'll see institutions that are having a difficult time sort of sorting out who they are and where they want to go. People are very clear about this institution's, history and the importance of that history. Acres of Diamonds. It's still as compelling a story now as it was back in 1884. But how passionate they are about the place and what it does. They see the challenges. We've talked about some of those, but no one argues like the sort of purpose, and that is a really big asset to have, especially given all the challenges that we face in this country right now. To really know who you are, why you exist, and have so many people who are like excited about that and are proud of that. I mean, that has been like the big headline for me. And so from there, if you have that, and that's a lot, then you go about addressing what the challenges are. All institutions have challenges, but the fact that this place is really clear about who it is and what it does is an incredible competitive advantage.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Let's real quick move to admissions. There's been kind of a spike or a downturn over the past several years with admissions, but now over the past year it's gone up. Can you speak to what you're going to do about admissions and what your plan is moving forward?
Sure. So we hit a high point in 2017 of about 40,000 students. And then this fall, even with the new class, which was incredibly successful and large, we're just a little bit above 30,000. So that's a big change, going from 40,000 to 30,000. So there's a build back. We're an institution that has the capacity to serve 40,000 students. So what I would like to do is see over the next sort of 3 to 5 years, building back towards that sort of 33, 34, 35,000 number, which I think we can achieve. This year demonstrated with a class of close to 4,900 that we're sort of getting on our way. So far, even though we're still waiting for the rest of this admission season to play out, there's a lot of applicants. They're high quality applicants. Things are looking sort of cautiously optimistic. So if we can have another year like last year and then just keep that steadily moving forward. I talked about the incremental progress. Before you know it, we're going to be heading right back to that sort of middle 30s number, which I think is a good, healthy number for this university to be. And I think we have a very, very talented admissions team. I think they're really talking about why Temple in such a compelling way. Our strength is both our comprehensiveness and our diversity. I think that message is getting through. And I also think one of the things is that when you walk this campus, people are just blown away. They many cases have no idea how beautiful a place this is and how safe a place this is. So I think that part is sort of really sort of coming together very nicely. And if we can start, as I mentioned before, if we can start restoring more confidence in the public environment, more things to do, right here in North Philly, more activity, more growth, more density, I think that is also going to help us sort of move forward. So I'm really optimistic about where we are, but I also know it's this is a long game, and so we're just going to have to keep playing it that way.
Can I ask you about the Temple athletics and the D1 program specifically? So a lot of people have been speaking about what the odds are, or if the odds are in favor for Temple to keep their program. What is your stance on that?
So I very much believe that Temple athletics is a very important dimension of the whole Temple experience. So many people experience Temple through athletics, and that is a really sort of important kind of front porch for our university. So that's number one. Number two, we have over 500 student athletes. If you take a look at how they perform on the court or the field, and especially how they perform in the classroom, we have a program that we can be incredibly, incredibly proud of. We're in a good athletic conference. We have a number of very competitive teams. And so I like very much what we have, and I also like its history and tradition. I think that there's so much uncertainty about the future of intercollegiate athletics, except for maybe at the largest, and richest programs, that institutions like ours have to constantly assess, well, how much are we going to allocate to athletics versus academics versus financial aid and things like that? Because the price of competing in intercollegiate athletics is just going like this. So it's a time to sort of sort all those things out. I actually just met with the president of the NCAA yesterday when I was down for Tina's event. I spent time with him as well. And what he basically said is, look, you have a very solid program, you have a good conference. All the things that are happening right now eventually are going to settle down. So sort of stay the course, and that's how I sort of feel like now. Let's stay the course. Let's see how the environment sorts itself out, and let's continue to support our student athletes. And I think that that's a good strategy for now. The other thing, and this is sort of visceral, but as new people to the community, my wife and I went to our first football game in mid-November. We went down to the field to be introduced, and so we were down there about 45 minutes. And my wife Kara, she turned to me at one point. She said, "Look how much fun people are having here, and look how much like student ownership there is of everything. The cheer team, the band." All the people who were sort of supporting the athletes as they got ready for the game, the sort of sense of energy and joy was so palpable, and it clearly was a student enterprise, and I think that's really important because the students are in many respects in charge of these programs. They're the ones who work so hard, off the field and on the field, and I feel like that sort of epitomizes the spirit of Temple. So. I think right now, stay the course.
I just want to ask you about the co-op program and what you might bring or implement to Temple, and what you can see coming from that.
Yeah, the co-op program at Drexel was a very large strategic advantage for us because of how well established it was. The placement rates were 97, 98% for students who applied for co-ops, incredibly high. Placement rates, the average compensation was almost $20,000. It was very, very successful. However, Drexel's a 5-year program, not a 4-year program. Most people did 3 co-ops, which necessitated them staying a 5th year. It would require such significant curricular change that I'm not sure that would be the right thing for Temple, because Temple has its own sort of academic experience, and I'm not here to say, well, we need co-op and therefore we should change that. However, maybe there's some sort of a hybrid sort of set of co-op opportunities that students can take advantage of here at Temple that have the same kind of access and opportunity and compensation and sort of deep experience that we had as part of the Drexel co-op, but it's sort of customized more for the Temple curriculum and the Temple schedule. I mean, we were quarter system there. This is semester system. The differences are so profound sort of academically. So I'm not inclined to say, oh, we need to bring co-op to Temple, but there's something about the co-op program that is so powerful that we should think about, what can we do to make those opportunities available, because those are pretty powerful opportunities. So that's something I'd like to sort of explore with the community. Are there things that we can do here that might bring more of those professional opportunities to our students?
Well, President Frey, thank you so much. I really
Thank you.
appreciate
Pleasure.
you taking the time to talk
Pleasure
with
to
us.
meet you. Look
We
forward to
really
working with you.
appreciate it.